everybody, welcome back to UC Kayla TV. Thank you so much for watching. We are going to recap and review Sistas Season 4, Episode 7, entitled Moving On Up. That was last night's episode. Before I get into it, don't forget to please subscribe, like, comment, and share this video if you like the content. Now, Sistas Season 4, Episode 7. This episode review is probably going to be one of my most general ones because I'm going to give detail, but it's really not that much to talk about. We spent like 35 out of the 41 and some change minute episode in either Andy's apartment or the penthouse with the girls. And I was just like, to me, this episode was very dragged out. I'll just give my thoughts and opinions as I go. This will probably be a shorter review. So let's get into it. So we start with Andy coming home. Her apartment's empty and she's flustered. She's trying to figure out where all her stuff is and what's going on. Then she speaks to the doorman on the phone and he reveals that she now owns the penthouse upstairs and that her things were moved up there. If you guys see me looking over, I'm looking at my notes because like literally I had to find things to talk about. But he also tells her, I think that Gary was waiting on her in the lobby or something and asked if he could send Gary up, and she reluctantly said yeah. I think at this point she's figured out that Gary bought her the penthouse, so she wants to talk to him about that. Not that necessarily she wanted him really to come up. But I'm just like, to me, it didn't give what it was supposed to give. Gary comes up. They have a meaningless exchange that we've seen 11 times since season 1. Gary does something stupid or toxic or abusive. Now he's sorry and he's trying to buy Andy back. Like, how many times are we supposed, like, what is this supposed to do for us? We've seen this before. And then it's just like, okay, she'll probably sleep with Robin again and then take Gary back. We'll see. Anyway, so as Andy's trying to get Gary to leave at the end of their conversation, the girls come in. They bust in there like Charlie's Angels. I was like, okay. Talking tough and trying to usher Gary out. How many times have we seen that? Then they have their little sisters exchange that we've seen a million times where everyone's outraged and they're trashing the man and the blind leading the blind about advice about a man. Danny and Sabrina, then they find out from Karen about the lavish gifts, the Rolls Royce and all that Gary bought. And, Danny starts her foolishness and she's like, wait a minute, maybe you should reconsider this. Maybe he's changed. But at least Danny was keeping it real. Everybody else is trying to pretend like they're so unimpressed, only to buckle later like they always do. Well, except for Karen in this situation, because her dislike for Gary is stronger than what he bought Andy. And she's just been generally negative and pessimistic and a hater. So anyway, Sabrina and Danny go up to see the penthouse. They were impressed by it. It's impressive. It's a penthouse. I feel like the episode kind of turned into MTV Cribs for a second. I was just like, why are we going on the tour, this grand tour, as part of the episode? Then not only did we do that once, we did it again when Andy and Karen come up later. So it's just like, I felt like that was another way for Tyler Perry to drag this out so he could get us to the end before Karen actually said what she had to say. Because she could have blurted that out at Andy's old apartment. She could have told them on 4-way on the phone. But anyway, so this is the third time he's had her do that and blurt this out at the end of an episode. So Karen and Andy are back in Andy's old apartment while Sabrina and Danny are in the penthouse, having a pointless exchange that we've seen a billion times since season 1. Andy's pretending to be over Gary, knowing they're going to be right back together. Karen's all up in Andy business, chastising her like she's her mother, trying to give out relationship advice like she's a Iyanla Vanzant, knowing her situation is just ragged in a mango seed. And she can't even fully get into Andy business without remembering, oh yeah, I'm stalking Zach. Where's Fatima? So it's just like, anyway. So she asks Andy again to please call Fatima, which pans us over to Fatima. Fatima's at Zach's house. They have a small exchange. First, Zach tells Fatima not to pay her next month's rent because Jake is helping him out, moving the process along, and they should be fully moved in the house in a few days. Then they also briefly discuss Gary, and Fatima advises Zach not to trust Gary with his money. And Zach's like, I'm not giving Scary Gary my money. Back at, which, let's pause there. There's a hole in this writing because Zach called Gary Scary Gary a couple episodes ago before he supposedly knew that was that Gary. So it's just like, that was a little sloppy. So now we're back in Andy's apartment, where she gave in to Karen and calls Fatima, but she leaves the kitchen from Karen to go in her bedroom because she's like, I don't know what Fatima's response is going to be, which was smart. So Fatima answers and we see her back at Zach's house, but they're on the phone, and she tells Andy initially, I'm going to pass talking to Karen and coming to her little hen session. But then as they wrap up the conversation, she's like, fine, I'll talk to Zach first and I'll let you know. Now we're back at Zach's house. Fatima tells Zach what her and Andy just talked about, that Karen wants to meet with her, and he shared her initial reaction like, nope, nope, nope. However, they have a deeper conversation. Fatima kind of asks Zach for his opinion and kind of permission. And he's like, Karen's not rational. Well, she can be, whatever. So Fatima's like, well, maybe she's trying to break the news to the girls because I don't think they know. And in later conversation, I guess they kind of decide Fatima's going. In later conversation, Zach mentions that Karen came by the house, and baby, Fatima flashed out. Like, Fatima flashed out. So it seems like she was initially open to like a peaceful reconciliation going over there, and now it's on. Okay. That's out the window. She even tells that, like, I'm going home to change in case these girls try to jump me. Like, it's on now. Zach was shook. He was still stuck on that face thing that happened with her when he mentioned that Karen came by the house. So Zach was kind of like, as long as you ain't mad at me, I don't have nothing to say. At this point, Zach knows Fatima is crazy and not to play with her. And that's all he really cares about. And he tells her that he is going to go play basketball with the guys, and they say they'll see each other later. So I'm sure on episode 8, after this crazy meetup, we'll get a Fatima scene with them back at Fatima's house, because they're not sleeping at Zach's house yet. Okay, now we're back at Andy's house for another drawn-out exchange in her old apartment. The sisters go back and forth about should Andy see the penthouse or not, that Danny and Sabrina have already seen. Eventually they all go up, like we knew was going to happen from the preview. Like we knew was going to happen anyway because we know them. And then why would they be standing around in an empty apartment trying to have a conversation? Like, anyway, it was just drawn out very unnecessarily. And then they ooh and ah when they get up there, and Andy reminisces about the softer and the warmer parts of Gary, and she cries in a very dramatic way. I actually was laughing. I'm like, KJ did it, because baby, that was so dramatic. I was just like, girl, we all like dream girls with the picture on the wall, but it wasn't that deep. Anyway, Danny's like, well, clearly we've lost this battle. And then Karen tries to be negative and throw her 2 cents. Well, did you remember this? Do you remember that he did this? Like, girl, do you remember that Zach done told you 50 times that he don't want you? That he's with Fatima? That no matter what, y'all not gonna be together? Did you remember that? But anyway, then we go over to the guys playing basketball. Now we're gonna get off into this, okay? Aaron, after their little short clip of them playing, Aaron and Zach break their little awkward tension to Gary about how they know each other. Aaron's dating Zach's ex. Zach dates Fatima, who works for Andy, and Gary's head is spinning, especially when he found out that Zach is dating Fatima. He immediately tries to defend himself to Zach about whatever Fatima may have told him. And then Zach was just like, Fatima's not like that. She hasn't said anything personal about you. She's not like Karen. Well, Lord, why did he say that? Taking shots at Karen, because then that ticks Aaron off and they get into a pissing contest. Now, this is what I don't like. In efforts to try to piss Aaron off and be disrespectful to Aaron, Zach actually ended up disrespecting Fatima. And what I mean by that is, you're discussing your sexual escapades with Karen that, first of all, is a little bit too fresh for you to be trying to throw that up in somebody's face. You're with Fatima now. And my thing is, why does Tyler Perry even have it like they still beefing? Because when Zach said he was through with Karen and handed, this is season 2, early season 2, I think it was episode 5, and gave, after he had got stabbed, and gave Aaron Karen stuff and said, fine, bro, I'm over it. I thought they was cool. There have been several times where it's like Zach, obviously, they don't fought before. So Aaron is obviously not Zach's favorite person, but it wasn't no beef like that. So I don't like the fact how it's appearing like they have all this tension if Zach is with Fatima. Now, I'm a Fatima fan, but I just got to keep it real. I don't like this. And I don't like the comments that he made about Karen in efforts to annoy Aaron, because they were actually disrespectful to Fatima. So Tyler Perry, you need to fix this expeditiously, because it's not cool. And I also didn't like how when Fatima said to Zach, if this is your baby, and he was like, it ain't no if it is. Sir, did you know that Karen was sleeping? If he don't believe that this baby is from the closet incident, but this is also sloppy in the writing, because Aaron keeps nailing it down to this incident. Karen's not refuting that. She's not refuting the fact that they were unprotected. So is it this incident, or was this supposedly from like season 1? Because the closet incident was episode 20 of season 2. So if it's not this incident, was this supposed to be from season 1? Now back to Zach. Sir, did you know that she was sleeping with Rico behind your back? Y'all remember Rico? If you don't, go back and watch season 1. So don't be coming at Fatima like, oh, automatically, that's your baby. This is your woman. Karen done made a fool out of you plenty times. You gonna mess around and let her make a fool out of you again. I didn't like that. Don't come at Fatima like that. Like, oh, it ain't no if it is. And I understand she wasn't there. I understand as a person, when you with somebody, you don't want them to have, that connection or kids with another person. You weren't there, so you can't really say. But at the same time, Fatima wasn't saying the if like trying to be petty. She was saying the if in a serious way, like, okay, we're still sorting this situation out. I don't respect that from Zach. If you want Fatima to ride with you through this situation while you try to sort this out, don't cut her off like that. Value her opinion. Don't rub it in her face like that. That's all I'm saying, and I'm through with that. But so Zach and Aaron had a little exchange, which was stupid and unnecessary. And then Gary really dismissed that. He was like, just chill out, because he wanted to get on to, well, Zach knows Andy. So he got fixated on that and was like, basically like, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Meaning if you help me get Andy back, then I'll help you with your stock situation. So Zach just let him go on. And he was like, that's messed up. Like, if you know something that can help me, which Zach was right about his, just help me. Black man, brother, basketball buddy. Like, why do I need to do something for you to do something? You slimy. And he was right about that. So he blew Gary off. So that answers the question about, is Gary and Zach going to be friends? And Gary is back on my list. I had just let him off. Now he's back on my list. And we're going to get into the preview for next week's episode. Gary is permanently on my list. He's not coming off, and neither is Hayden. Ever. All right. Last scene, we're back in Andy's penthouse with the sisters, and they chit-chatting and kikiing on the couch in the penthouse. Now Danny's about to pour up drinks, and everybody's like, Karen, you definitely need a drink. She says, I can't drink. Andy's like, why not? And then she blurts out, I'm pregnant. Like I predicted. We knew. We done seen it. This is the 3rd time. So anyway, that's how the episode ends. All right. Episode 8 next week is going to be called The Sister. And the preview for the next episode was more interesting than this whole episode. No shade to Tyler Perry, but it was. The synopsis for next week's episode is that Karen reveals major news to the sisters, and Fatima becomes the casualty of war. So we already know the major news that she dropped at the end of this episode was the pregnancy. Now the casualty of war part is a little bit more complicated. So what I'm about to give y'all my opinion on the preview is the preview they showed at the end of the episode. And then there's a 30-second trailer that they showed during the game came on after Sistas at 10 o'clock. So a little bit into that, they show a preview, an extended preview for Sistas. So if you haven't seen it, that's where this extra information, if you don't know where I'm talking about, is from. If you don't want to hear it, go ahead and cut the video off now. All right. So The preview, we see Danny asking Karen if she's going to keep the baby, and she's like, hey, that's a legitimate question. We see Q popping up to Maurice's job, which, why is he still on the show? We see Jake tell Zach that he heard that an inquiry had been made to the SEC, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission, about him and his stock situation. We see Zach get arrested at his home, and Jake is there because he was trying to help Zach. And we saw Gary telling Hayden to keep an eye on Andy for him. And Hayden's like, you just keep an eye on, Zach's situation for him. So now we learned that Gary and Hayden are working together. So I'm wondering if that's going to relate to Robin in some way, as far as him not doing anything about Andy being with Robin. But we'll see. So it's a lot going on. I'm pretty sure that Karen is going to try to surprise. Oh, and we saw Fatima show up to Andy's penthouse. I'm pretty sure that Karen is going to try to surprise Fatima with the news. It's not going to go over really, because Fatima's going to be cool as a cucumber like she often is, even if she reacts in private later. But she's going to tell her she already knew. Maurice and Q are going to have a pointless, and pointless is too nice of a word. Why is Q still popping up on the show? He could have died in jail. He could have never showed back up. Like, Jacoby got tossed out on his behind for Calvin, who we don't care about. No shade to Anthony Dawson. I don't want him to be out of a job. But, we're over Sabrina and Calvin. And Jacoby got tossed out on his behind. Yet Maurice and Q, like, this keeps popping up. It's not even a real relationship. Like, the drama don't even give drama. Like, I ain't seen nobody be up in arms about what's going to happen with Maurice and Q. We really don't care. But anyway, I'll just speak for myself. I don't care. He adds no value to the show. So, I think that although Jake works for Gary, he's going to be an ally to Zach. I think that maybe Jake and Zach will do their own thing, and Jake will get wind of how Gary is being, and he's not going to be cool with it, because he did not try to help Gary out at the basketball court when Zach went off on him. And seeing how Zach has already gone off on Gary in Jake's presence, and Jake still showed up and tried to help him, his loyalty might not run that deep with Gary. We'll see. And then last thing is Gary and Hayden is just like, they are forever on my list. And I can't believe, like, I didn't see that coming. I thought that Zach and Gary were gonna, I didn't think they was gonna be besties, but I thought that Gary was gonna be an ally for Zach, because I knew that Jake was gonna be an ally for Zach based off the synopsis. And those are out on TV, guys. Y'all, Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not finding no leaked information or anything like that. This stuff is available if you just look up Sistas Season 4 if you want to see the episode synopsis ahead of time. Some people don't like to know. But yeah, so I'm very disappointed in Gary. I'm not super surprised, but I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed in Hayden, because we already knew that. And I had said a while ago, I thought that Zach was going to get arrested because of the insider trading. Because one of the synopses does say that Zach and Hayden are going to have an altercation. I knew he wasn't going to get arrested over that. I knew it was going to be the insider trading, because that lady kept coming around. So we'll see what happens with that. She showed up at the arrest, so I'm pretty sure it's about the insider trading. We'll see what happens next week. But thank you guys for watching. This is one of my shorter reviews. I told you the penthouse stuff was just way dragged out. This whole episode could have been 20 minutes and part of next episode, but we know how Tyler Perry does. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, share. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have your own predictions, let me know down in the comments. And thank you guys for joining me at UC Kayla TV. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. I'll be back on Monday with some content. I'm going to pick some characters to talk about like I've been doing. Either that or my tweet of the week. But I'll be back Monday with some content to hold you to next Wednesday. All right? Thank you guys. Bye.